Jamie Westenbarger, Forest Hills Financial Incorporated, joins us right now on the program. He's a registered principal of Invest Financial and the president of Forest Hills Financial. Invest, by the way, not affiliated with Forest Hills Financial, so opinions expressed are those of Jamie and not necessarily those of Invest. Nevertheless, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Michael Patrick. How are you doing?
Good. I understand, more to the point, that the market did very well in September, the best September in 71 years. True?
Yeah, for the Dow, best since 1939. That's not a bad month, and best since 1992 for the S&P. So we'll take those results.
The comeback is on, it sounds like, or is it?
Well, it's one of those things where obviously we hope things are moving in a positive direction, but I think people always have to be mindful of they can go back the other way just as quickly. If we look back to 39, the last time we had this kind of Dow rebound, 6 months later, the market was down 40% again. So we just got to remember that, of course, previous performance doesn't mean that's how it's going to be, but it's just a good idea to, as we always tell our clients, maintain that balanced portfolio and don't try and buy into the hype and don't sell into the fear.
Well, for instance, on the last day of the month yesterday, the Dow and S&P, the Dow was down by 47, the S&P down 4, and the NASDAQ down 8, just incidentally, as we head into the first day of October. What are your clients and customers asking you when they call these days to Forest Hills Financial? What's the number one question?
Probably the number one question is how is this election going to affect what's going on with the market? And what we've been telling people is the election really is going to help a lot as far as just giving us clarity. Right now there's so many questions about, depending on who wins what, how that's going to affect tax policies, how that's going to affect what's going on with the health care bill, with financial reform, all of these things that are kind of leaving the Wall Street guys in limbo. And you have to realize that the Wall Street, number one thing Wall Street hates is indecisiveness and the unknown. And right now there's a lot of that with the administration's policies and that type of thing, and how those may change very well if we have a particular result in the election.
Any reason to think that if the Republicans were to take back control of the House, it would be good for the market?
It could be. It's hard to say without knowing what exactly they'll do if they do get control back. But a lot of it's just going to have to do with what decisions finally get made on some of these tax cuts and what decisions get made on some of this spending going forward, because ultimately that's one of the largest concerns weighing on the average investor is, what am I going to pay on the profits I make, and what's going to happen with all this debt that the government's carrying?
Well, as we know right now, too, there's the possibility of extending the so-called Bush tax cuts. But the House and Senate in Washington adjourned without extending them. So if they don't come to an agreement before January, as I understand, it's essentially going to be a tax increase for everybody across the board, low, middle class, upper class, you name it. And the dispute seems to be whether or not to extend them for people that are considered to be rich. They make $200,000 or more, or couples who make $250,000 or more. And that seems to be the biggest argument over there right now.
Well, and the biggest thing that people have to realize with that is that bracket of people represent the largest amount of people aside from institutions in the market. So if you have any kind of uncertainty on what you're going to pay in taxes, are you going to carry all of those gains over to next year to wait and find out what that magic number is going to be, or are you going to try and lock those gains in while you can, so that you at least have the ability to quantify what the tax bill is going to be?
Boy,
so that's the real concern with just leaving it kind of up in the air. There is always the possibility next year they could retroactively go back and do it, but I find that probably pretty unlikely. So if they don't get something done here in the next couple months, that's not going to probably help the market a whole lot.
Jamie Westenbarger, Forest Hills Financial, thank you very much for the report this morning. It's 14 before the hour. Back in a flash.